Hello and welcome to ArtDay. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist by Pinselgeschichten, and today I'm gonna work some more on this coloring page. There is a video from a couple of weeks ago where I colored this upper part here, and it will pop up in the iCards. And you can see there what I did and what the thought process was for coloring this. And today I want to, well, work as much as I can to hopefully finish this page. I'm going to work with the Copic markers again. I put all of the markers I used for this part into this pot here so that I can choose from these colors when I want color repetition. If I want new colors, I just go to the other marker pot. There's a few more tones that I can use there. I'm gonna zoom you in so that you can see maybe a bit better. This should be, let's see. Yeah, that's actually a nice size, I think. I hope I'm gonna stay in frame and you can see. I'm actually filming this quite a bit of time ahead because I'm currently on vacation and I want to make sure that, well, you got something to see there while I'm gone, because, yeah, reasons, I mean, right? Also, I want this bit to be finished. I hate unfinished projects, so I try to, well, finish all of them. In this particular frame here, Daniel, my husband, and I are visible, as well as Psyduck and a flower. And I think I want to start with a flower and bring in a bit of green that I haven't used yet. What didn't I use yet? I don't have a lot of green tones, so maybe I go with my forest green and the dark green that I have already used on Grisou, on the little dragon. And I'm just gonna base coat this again, like I always do when I work with Copic markers. All the numbers of any of the alcohol markers that I'm going to use today, as well as any other material that I will maybe use, like for example gel pen and such, will be listed on the blog post for this particular page here. And the blog post will go live an hour after this video goes live, so that would be 10 a.m. CET time. The blog post goes live. This video went live at 9 a.m. CET. I know you all can do math. I just wanted to clarify. I'm now going in shading that leaf here a bit. Same goes for this part, and also here. And this line work was done by Tina, my good friend, who really likes to do the line work, and it was a gift for an anniversary of ours, the 2nd year anniversary that we met. So it's time to color this a little more. In the first video I talk about which part represents what of my hubby and I in this on this page, which frame does work on or represents which part of our life together. So if you want to know, you gotta go back to the first part if you haven't seen it already. Now I'm thinking, what color do I want to color this this flower. Now I'm going to have gray, yellow, and blue and skin tone in us here and also on Psyduck, so I might want to go with something that fits really well with what colors I'm going to put down. Or I think what I'm actually gonna do is color the rest first and then decide what color I want for the flower petals. And this is something that I do quite often. I color or choose colors for what I'm very sure about, and then wait for the other colors for when I have everything put down that I'm sure about. So I'm just using the skin tones that I have used before. Same combo here. Going to base coat my face with R00. I'm probably gonna have a shirt underneath. Can't see it. So I'm just, oh, I have a hand too. So I have to color my hand. Then I can shade with the next tone. Now I don't really know where the light comes from. This is no particular spot in our house where I know where the windows are and such. So I'm just gonna start shading it from the right, which is my go-to place to put shadow because, well, I just can feather it out towards the left, and me being left-handed, it's just a natural way for me to move my hand when feathering things. So I'm gonna put down a bit of that shadow. Same here for the hand. And now I'm going in with the darkest tone, and it's really gonna be dark, don't be surprised, but I'm just going to put in very little of this grape color. And I will blend it out with my lightest tone here. And then it's not that scary anymore. So if you work with alcohol markers, you just gotta, well, get used to it for one, how they blend, how they work, and then sometimes be just really brave on a test piece of paper before you go onto your piece of art that you want to work on, and definitely not ruin, and try colors there together. Blend them out and such before you bring them to your art piece. For hubby's skin, I'm going to use the same colors as for me, but not the grape color, so not the darkest color for me, because hubby has a bit more of a yellowish tint. I sometimes have a bit more, well, I'm just pale, you know. I have the pale tint, but he has a bit of a more yellowish tint than I do. So I'm giving him a different base color, and that is called Eggshell. So I'm going to bring that in and base coat his face with that color, as I also do with a hand. And then I bring in the same mid-tone. We both have the milky white. Just shade it here. And a little bit of the, what was it called, barley beige or barley beige, I don't know, just for the very darks here. And a little bit of that pinkish white, so that is my lightest tone on my skin, to add a bit of a reddish tone, a bit more of a pink tone than a orange tone to his skin. And then I'm going to blend everything out with the lightest tone, which is the eggshell. There we go, but I forgot the darkest tone, or the pinkish tone also on his hands, so there we go, and blending this out. Fairly fast, right? Now I'm going in with the hair. I also have notes on the hair color for the markers that I used in the first few panels. There we go. So that is the Spectrum Noir markers IG1, 4, and 6 for Daniel's hair. That is what I'm going to start with. And I do, in general, not only on this coloring page here, but in general, I do prefer the bullet tip or the brush tips to the chisel tips. There's a few spots, especially for bigger parts on the background, where I do use a chisel tip, but I hardly ever. So the brush tips or the bullet tips are always very well used on my markers. The chisel tips, not so much. Okay, so I'm going in with a darker tone here, because hubby has very wonderfully gray hair, but he's not white yet. So I have to put in a few darker gray parts, and they happen to be at his neck quite a bit. So just have only very little up here, but down here he has quite the dark hair. And not to have him look like a snow leopard, I'm gonna blend things out. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh no! Let's take the light tone really fast and blend this out and lighten things up here. So you can push the pigment of alcohol markers, and like that you can repair a few things or make blending really easy. Mistakes like this one's not as horrible now, I think. So for my hair, I have a buttercup yellow, a warm gray 5, and a champagne. Only where the sunlight hits it, I will use the buttercup. So I'm not gonna have sunlight here. Here I had it with a window that the sun would go through. So there, of course, I will have to use a bit of that yellow. Same will happen here, because in my kitchen here's the window, so the sunlight comes in there. But I don't know where this is, and so I'm not gonna put, or I can have it on the couch or whatever, or I don't know, in a restaurant or at my mom's house or Daniel's parents' house, or I don't know. But I'm not gonna use sunlight with the buttercup yellow for this particular piece here, for this panel. So I'm just gonna go in with the brown, the champagne, for my hair here. And also the eyebrows, of course. and then shade with the warm gray. And I'm gonna shade on the right hand side again, because again I'm having the light coming from the left, from the left hand side. Just add quite a bit here. And then bring in my champagne brush marker Copic thing again. Sorry, by the way, for the background noise. I hope I can really filter it out in post-production. But it is still that very warm late October day where I have 26 degrees outside, and it is just way too hot for me in the studio to work with the windows closed. So I have to work with the window open. And that means that you hear what neighbors do. Alright, so my hair is done. Now I want to start with hubby's jacket. This is definitely winter season here. So he's gonna get an ice blue jacket. This is one of his sweater jackets, and I'm going to tone it down, this turquoisey bit. I'm going to tone it down with another color that I already used, and in his t-shirts, and that is the marine blue. So this is just the base coat again. It's also his arms, so don't have to be too careful there. Okay. The rest is t-shirt, I think, on his part. So now I'm going to bring in this marine blue, which will quote-unquote dull this down a bit. But it gets then closest to the colors that he's actually wearing. So even when I color, particularly when I color, but even when I color something like this, where it is a cartoon style, and I could very easily oversaturate or just use maybe a brighter color than we would actually wear on our wardrobe here. I'm trying to stay as true to, well, Daniel and I as I can. I want this still to be realistic in the sense that it feels like us when you look at this coloring, you know. Going in with the ice blue once more. And there I got onto my skin, but that's no problem. I'm going to take hubby's lightest marker and my lightest marker, and I'm just going to push this as much as I can. Hubby's lightest marker is this one here. I'm just going to push it. It works a bit better with the Copics than it does with the style files, but it is still okay, I think. Now I'm going to shade his jacket, And for that I use a cool gray. So shading it on the left hand side, of course. I'm also casting a shadow here on his jacket. And same here. And by feathering in my color, it doesn't look too heavy. Well, it actually helps with the blending when you feather it in, because feathered in bits are way better blendable than those solid blocks of color, you know? It just makes for a smoother transition between bits. Okay. That's Daniel's jacket, and he's gonna wear a black shirt, so I just need a black marker. And the black is also here. I'm also gonna wear a black shirt. Again, color repetition or putting things down repeatedly in the same spot and stuff just makes for a smoother look on the coloring page, coloring his eyes blue. And now I'm going in for my sweater, and I'm going for a yellow tone because I wear yellow quite a bit, or beige yellow tinted stuff. So I'm wearing the quite bright yellow on the shirts, but for sweaters I go with a more subtle tone, which is more of a cream or a beige or a buttercup yellow, like I'm coloring here, or a mustard yellow or something. This is what I wear for sweaters and such. Not the super bright yellows. That's only for the shirts because summer, you know. So I'm going to shade this with what's it called? Putty. So I'm having quite a bit of dark here, because Daniel's arm is casting a shadow. I have a bit here on the left hand side. And also here. And then I go in again. Wrong nib. I don't like the chisel nib, like I said. So am I in frame? Yes, I am. So I'm bringing that marker on top in a solid layer. Coloring this. And I'm going to bring in a little bit of that milky white just to have a bit of a highlight carved out here. And with the milky white I can push a bit of that yellow. And then I can have a bit of the darker here. Okay, now it's Psyduck's turn, and for him I also want the buttercup yellow. So I think this is the perfect tone for him. This is closest to the color of our Psyduck plushie that we do have. And that is the object of quite a couple of paintings downstairs in our living room. We do have a few framed Psyducks that I painted for Daniel for the advent calendars. He's always getting a board game and a painting every Sunday. So now let's see. I need a skin white. This is a tone that I haven't used before. I'm going to use that as the base for the cream parts Psyduck, but I'm also going in with milky white to shade this a bit. Just very little. These are very similar tones, very subtle blending. So I'm going to bring in just a smidge of the putty here, just to have a bit of a stronger contrast that I can then blend out with my skin white. You can see there that with the blending, this is just a very nice way to shade things, you know. For the hair, it's just a solid black. And now I have to shade his body. I'm gonna go with a warm gray 3. Jeez, I'm sorry for the noise. I'm just having a little bit of shading here on the left-hand side. And then I will blend this out with the Buttercup Yellow. I really hope that it's quiet now for the rest of the video. But I cannot have a fan running. That would be worse for audio. Learned that throughout the summer. And I just hope that people are at work and not driving through the street here too much. I mean, a little bit, that's fine, but it's all about the too much, you know? So I'm just gonna give us like this table here, I'm going to give the same color here, using the same pattern. So it's a maroon, and that fits nicely with, well, the other panel for one, but also it fits with the colors that I used so far. So this turquoisey blue on Daniel, and the warm Buttercup Yellow on myself and Psyduck. So like that. And then I'm going to bring in a warm gray, a very dark one, and again shading from the left hand side. Going to feather this out. And bring in a bit of the maroon from the other side once more. Pretty much sandwiching the warm gray between the two layers of the maroon, and that will make that part of the desk or the table, whatever it is, it will make that that part darker. Excuse me. Now I don't really have something that is oomph in this panel yet, so I'm going to use a cold red on this one here. This will, I have, aside from his hair, I have all warm colors here, so to counter a bit, I'm gonna have a cold tone there. And then I will give us a little bit of a light gray background like I did here. I'm going to do the same thing here. Well, maybe I should start with that. So I'm going with IG2 to have a little bit of grayish background there. Just feathering that in. Just on the sides, you know, but here. And it blends just so well into the background if you feather these things in instead of having a solid background. Now I need to blacken Psyduck's eyes. Now I can bring in the pink that I also have here on the boat. So again, color repetition, this will look quite harmonic. So I'm gonna bring in the pink. And then I'm going to shade it with a dark cold red. Feather that out. I want the dark parts here to be on this section, not the tip of the petals, so it is way easier for me by turning the paper to get that feathering motion done. So just a bit here. Also here, in here, and then again adding a layer of pink all over just to bring everything together. And by all over, I mean all over the petals, not the rest. That would be maybe not that great. So there we go. Now I can already bring in the gel pen for Daniel's eyes. Mine too. And that is the first panel. So now I can decide which one I want to do first, and I want to do this one first because left-handed I don't want to smudge anything. That's the only reason why I work like that, and I'm going to put on my vlogging camera so that I have a bit of footage for my vlog to show you behind the scenes teaser stuff already. All right. Also had a sip of water just to keep hydrated, and I will start with Daniel's hair, same colors as I used before. Just pretty much gonna do the same thing as I did in the panel before, but maybe without the mistake this time. This would be great, right? So in this panel here, the light comes from the right because this is where the kitchen window is. So I have to shade accordingly, but still his hair is darkest here at the back. Just a bit more, and then I'm going to blend this with the lightest tone again. So this is a true depiction of what Daniel and I look like in the kitchen. I love to cook, and he likes to eat too, but he always has to wait until stuff is cooked and finished. So he's not being in the kitchen with me a lot while I cook. I have quite the small kitchen, so I can't have everybody with me in there. Otherwise I couldn't move, but what I definitely can do is say, honey, dinner's ready. And then he can come to the kitchen, hold his plate, and get a bit of stew or whatever it is that we're having that particular day. And this looks very much like, well, the situation that we're having when I'm saying that dinner's ready. So I started with a buttercup yellow because, again, sun is gonna come through that window, so it makes my hair look yellowish. In that spot I get a bit of a highlight there, but I will start with the rest of my hair first and shade it with the colors I used before, so the champagne and the warm gray that I'm currently using. And then I will go in and put champagne on top of everything, and that will blend the buttercup yellow into the rest of my hair there. Like that, see? So it is just a highlight, and it is just a highlight there, a reflection in a certain light. I do have blonde-ish hair as a highlight, but I'm more of a, well, mousy, gray-brown kind of a person when it comes to my hair color. I make do with very colorful shirts and socks to not look too boring. All right, that is that. Now I can move on to the skin. For me first, these are the skin tones for me. I'm gonna start with my lightest again. Quite the pinkish color. Of course, also on my hands. And I think this is supposed to be a necklace, so I'm giving myself a bit more of a décolleté there. So starting to put in the mid-tone from the left, because again the right side has the window, and that is then of course where the light comes from. So I'm shading on the left. Also here. Same on the neck. Quite a bit. Okay. And then the very dark tone to set a few very dark shadows, like here and here, up here, here, and here. And then I can blend all of that out, and it will not look as horrible as it does now, believe me. That's the good thing about alcohol markers. All right. Oh, I forgot something on this panel. I just realized I forgot the zipper, and for that I want silver, a silver gel pen. Where is it? Yeah, I think that's the one. Just going to give him the zipper silver thing. All right, now back to this one. I will use the same silver one for my necklace later. But now it's time for Daniel's skin, and that is this one, this one, this one, and this one. These 4 markers. Starting with the lightest again. Here. I will bring in the color for the eyebrows on both of us a bit later. First I want to color the skin as it is. So the mid-tone goes here, again from the left-hand side, shading. Bringing in the very dark here on the neck, same here, this part, here at the temple, and blending this out. Now I can take care of my eyebrows meanwhile, while this settles into the paper a bit. And now his eyebrows. For this I take the mid-tone, so the IG4, the darker tone. And of course the tongue is the, what's it called, wine red. Now the question is, what do I use as colors here? I'm going to use quite a bit of gray because I have a grayish blue kitchen with a lot of white, but there's also a what's it called? A dark red buffet kind of a thing. So let's start with my board here, my wooden board, where I cut everything up into all the pieces that I need. Buttery yellow. Where is it? There it is. And a bit of the putty color to shade. I'm gonna take the lightest tone that I had used to blend all that together. And then I take the pale blue-gray for the blade here on the knife. And my knife has a black handle. So I'm going to color this. I also have a black pot. I should probably use a bit of the dark gray. Here we go, cool dark gray. So that I can have highlights here on the right hand side. Also on the rim and here on this handle, and the rest I can bring in with the black. Blend this out. And the same goes for the stove. Gonna have it mainly gray because the sunlight is reflecting on it. But here on the shadow side, for one, there's gonna be a solid line here. And I'm going to feather in the black. And go over it with another layer of the dark gray. Okay. Now I have to think. My ladle is orange. Yes, I have an orange ladle. Because in my cooking ware, so all the pots and pans, I only use plastic or wood, and the ladle that I have is plastic, so yeah, it is orange because orange is my favorite color, so why not? Using a bit of terracotta to shade. There's the orange. So now I have to think. I might want to put in all the gray first because I'm I haven't decided yet what colors I want to use for all the rest. So I'm having IG1, IG2, and IG4 that I want to use. These are the 3 lightest tones. And this, so the window is here, which means that this part of the counter is super light. So I'm just going to give it a light gray touch. In real life, my counter is a bit more on the bluish gray side, but that's totally fine. I'm going now with the IG2. The pot here shades my my counter a bit. And here, behind this wooden block, I also want a bit of the IG4, same here on this part of the stove section, and I'm going to blend this out with the IG2 again. Second layer of IG1, not to have the difference be too heavy between the 2 parts of the counter. Need the black. There it is. I want a bit. Oh gosh, this sometimes happens. And the markers are a bit older. They don't want to stay together anymore. Oh, come on. Oh, for God's sakes. Let's take the chisel tip. Hope that it's better. Yeah, it is. Just want a very dark line here underneath the pot. All right. Now for the rest of the kitchen. So we have a few things that I have to blend out here, because this is all white wall, but there's a few, well, it's just shadow, you know. So I'm just going to feather this in. The fridge is white and a little more in sunlight, so I'm going to take the IG1 to shade this, because this is just so much lighter. And then there would be the dark red thing, the buffet back there. Do I want to add that? Haven't decided yet. The floor is also white, so just so we have white, very light gray tiles and such. So I'm just going to bring that over here. fridge. Okay, now I need, this is the box where we do keep the recyclables that we always bring away when we go food shopping. So I'm just going to color this with a warm gray. It's actually 2 boxes, one for glass, one for paper, but Tina did put them together as one. So I'm just going to color one. And going to use a cold gray on top for shading. This is a cool gray 7. Just going to use this one because it's handy. This marker's almost done as well. So very soon I will have to rebuy a few colors maybe. I need the pale gray now for my dish here, just to give it a bit of depth. Maybe one of the very light grays to add a bit of shadow, because this is one of those deep bowl-like dishes. And now I will color Daniel's pants. He's gonna have some jeans on, some blue jeans, so I'm taking the ultramarine blue like I did in the first panel that I colored in the other video. Going to take that color as the under color for the jeans. And then put on top the marine blue, and that will make it look like the jeans colors that he's wearing. He's not wearing ultramarine blue. There we go. I think I want What kind of shirt are you wearing, honey? You're wearing gray quite a bit. I don't want to go yellow and blue again because I did that a lot already. Let's go for a cool gray, but a darker one, like a Payne's gray or something. So I'm starting with IG4 as my lightest color. And then I'm taking quite the dark shades, so IG6, IG8 will be the colors to shade this t-shirt. So I'm starting with IG8. Where's the IG6? Oh, let's, I'm gonna start with IG6, so that is the next shade. Just following the seams here. And I'm going to shade quite a bit from the left-hand side. To not have him look flat. Now it's time to use IG8 for those seams here at least. And then I can blend it out with IG4 before I put a little bit of IG8 on these lines here that Tina put in as wrinkles in the fabric. Okay. I'm going to wear, what kind of thing am I gonna wear? I don't want to wear yellow again. Maybe olive green, because I do wear olive green shirts and it fits well with that orange here of my ladle. So let's bring in a bit of the olive green. And I'm going to shade it with a bit of warm gray 5. It's not too dark to shade and it fits better than the other greens that I have. I had the same color combo here on Grisou, and I used another green there to shade in the beginning, and it's just not pretty. So I could repair it with the warm gray also being on top, but you know, it's just more pretty if you go the right way right away when you layer down colors. So in this case here I learned, so I'm not going to use any of the other greens that I have, but only this olive green here and a bit of warm gray. Now the question is, do I want to bring in the kitchen thing? Actually, I kind of do, because there's just this white block there. Oopsie. So I'm going to bring in the dark red for our kitchen buffet. Just as a red block, and I'm gonna bring in the a dark gray or something to have a few lines in there that indicate shelves and such. dark gray. Things that stand in my buffet thing, going over the whole thingamajig, and that is a technical term, folks. Going over it with the dark red again, just to blur things a bit more. There we go. So now I can bring in the gel pens for our eyes. And the silver gel pen for my necklace as well. Maybe a bit more of this very pale bluish gray here for the blade of the knife and the dish as well. Okay, there we go. One more panel to go. Let me move my pens to the other side. You can see the mountain of pens in one of the vlogs late October. So today is the 16th, that would be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21st of October. You should see footage of this particular video coming together. And there you can see the pile of markers. So I've got about 50 minutes of recording time left, and I want to start with the fan up here. It's a very, it has a very, oh, hold on, did I use that color? No, not yet. Let's use this. The dull ivory. This is a fan that I really have, and that is, my mom brought this home for me as a gift when she was on vacation with my dad. Back in the day, a long time ago, they brought me this fan as a gift from Madeira, and I really like it, and it saves me every summer. Lets me stay human at least for a while. So I'm going to color this one first. And I'm going to color the frame that Daniel has in his hands the same way. Again, color repetition, and they're the frames that Daniel made for me or for us are pretty much the same color. So I'm going to use the same markers to color that bit as well. I'm going to do that right now before I finish the fan. Just and there's no particular scenery here to see where the light comes from, because this is just somewhere in our house. This is just like this panel. So I'm going to make this be shaded on the left-hand side again, on the right-hand side again, because I can. In a bit of the other marker. Now I need a light gray. This one here, this is the lightest color for that metal piece, and the pink for the tassels here, because my fan actually had pink tassels in the beginning. They are not there anymore, lost them at one point, but they were there. A bit of wine red for shading. Boop. Just to make things look less flat. Like this. And I need the IG4. This is a bit of a darker gray tone here for this bit. Maybe a bit more. Throwing things around. Maybe a bit more of the putty color to shade a bit stronger on this side. There we go. Now I can move on with Daniel's skin and my skin. Let's start with Daniel's skin first. To find, there we are. These are the markers again. Sorry for the background noise. Gonna start with the lightest color for him. This is the eggshell color. And he made very cool wooden frames for me. That's why this depiction is on this comic panel. Going in with a mid-tone. Again, I'm shading from the left-hand side, so I'm going to be stronger with a shadow here, the ear, things like that. And also here on the arm. And same goes here. Bringing in the next shade, going even darker. Just with a few lines, not too much. Pretty much just where the darkest shadows are. And then I'm going over it with my eggshell color again. Blending everything together. There we go. We share two of the pencils. My darkest one is this one here. So I'm starting with my skin now, with my lightest tone. And then going in with the mid-tone here on my neck. And shading from the left again. A little bit of the light grape color, just a smidge here, here on these darkest parts. And I will blend that out with my lightest color. That will again make this light grape color not look as scary as it does when you put it down, because I have quite the gap between those shades of skin tone there in the that I use for coloring, especially, or at least not so much with the light and the mid-tone, but between the mid-tone and the dark tone there's quite a bit of dark there. So now I will go on with the hair. I don't have any sunlight per se that I will put down, because this is out of nowhere. Could be in my studio where there is no sunlight here. So I'm just going with the champagne and the dark gray color, and again shade from the left hand side. There we go. Now I can go on to Daniel's hair, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. IG1, IG4, IG6 are my color choices again. And I'm going to start the same way. Light color first. Mid-tone next, again going in from the neck, because his hair is darkest at his neck here, on the back of the neck, you know. Bringing a few squiggly lines in here, because, well, he has some darker spots still. He's not completely white yet. The darkest tone only here on the neck. And then blending everything out with the lightest. With the mid-tone, I will also color his eyebrows like I did in all the other panels. And now I can decide what kind of color I want for the shirts, and I think I want to go with the same color combination that I used in the first panel. So me having the very bright yellow, him having the dark blue, just to again have color repetition for the dark yellow, for the light yellow, excuse me, for the light yellow. That will then also have like a diagonal like this going on. See? This is where I am with the light yellow shirt, and this is where I am on the same paper. So that will be a nice thing to look at. I also need a little black here for the mouth. Ugh. I'm definitely gonna throw away that marker. Do I have another black? Yes, I do. So it will be retired after this page is done. So First going in with the ultramarine blue. Very carefully coloring this with a solid layer. Also with this very dark blue that I'm going to use on his shirt, the frame will stick out quite a bit because it is quite a bit lighter. So that will help as well to not have details get lost, you know. Right. Whew, I always have to remember to breathe when I color and sometimes forget that. And I hold my breath, which is not really helpful. So now I'm going over with the marine blue, and that will make this shirt be very close to the colors again that Daniel is wearing, and then I can shade it with a cool gray and move on to my t-shirt after that. There we go. Though I really like the brush tips to work with, for this one, because it is quite tiny, I'm going to use the bullet tips of the Spectrum Noir markers, and I want the IG8. There we go, quite dark, but I think I can control it better with a bullet tip. So I'm shading with a cold gray from the right hand side. I'm going with the line work that is presented to me. This is pretty much where I lay down my shadow. Going over it with the blue again, just to bring things together and blend out the gray. I'm not going to use the ultramarine anymore on this shirt. That's fine, I think. That. And now I can move on to my yellow shirt and go in with a very bright yellow. And don't throw away the markers. Using the Buttercup yellow to shade. And I do so from the left-hand side again. And then I go in with my light yellow marker again and blend stuff. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now the only thing that I have to do is go in with the gel pens for the reflections again and color these little dudes here. And I'm going to use colors that I already used, and I try to have a lot of repetition there. So I have an orange because I haven't repeated that color yet. So let's do that here with the terracotta being the shading color. I need a bit of a pale bluish gray marker because this is actually from a game called Diamonds, where we do have those see-through diamonds. So I'm just going to add a little bit of pale color. I need to repeat the green from up here from the flower. So I'm going to do that on this other dude here. I have not repeated the light red yet, so I'm going to do that here on those dies. They will be light red and the shading color will be the dark red, and I'm going to use a white gel pen on top for the pips, with a P, not with a B, with a P. Going to use that there. Okay, and this pip here is gonna be from another game, so it will have a actually I could go with the ice blue. I haven't repeated the ice blue yet. Let's put that on top. The ice blue with a bit of the marine color for shading, and some more of the ice blue. And then I will go in with the IG2 to have a bit of this feathering in background going on, just a smidge, not too much really. Maybe I should give us both some pants with a lighter color. Or I just feather in that gray here as well. And that will be like one of these foggy, foggy screen frame things that you sometimes have with photos and such. There we go. Now I bring in the gel pen for the pips. And the reflection in the eye. There we go. Let's see. I'm gonna zoom you out. And I can see if I want to add anything. I think not. I actually really like it the way it is. So it will just be gel pens and markers, no colored pencils like I had thought in the beginning maybe. Let's stop the vlogging camera. And need a sip of water for my dry throat from all the talking. But I think this concludes my coloring here. I hope you enjoyed watching along. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I will have all the markers that I used today named on my blog, so you can hop on over. The link to my webpage is in the description box below, so you can find it there. You can contact me on the social medias that are also listed in the description box below, so feel free. And I'm gonna see you next week with a new video. Have fun, everybody. Have a wonderful day and do something for you that pampers your soul today. Have fun, folks. Bye.